Oh, I would love to know how is it now that he can dialogue with Cuba, and it's okay. But when Obama went to dialogue with Cuba, not negotiate, dialogue, it was a frenzy for all.
But a lot of Latino voters. And the poll shows that in places like Arizona, California, Texas, Trump is losing support significantly from Latino voters. Everywhere in the U.S., except in the state of Florida.
How do you make the operation in Cuba look more like the Venezuela operation?
Well, the difference is Venezuela has oil, Cuba doesn't.
The Supreme Court of the United States just issued a 6-3 decision stating that a lawful permanent resident who has been arrested but not convicted travels outside of the United States, comes back in the U.S. If the person working at the airport, the CBP officer, determines that the crime that they were arrested for is a crime involving moral turpitude, then the officer cannot admit this person into the U.S., but instead...
Donald Trump is threatening Cuba. Make a deal or else.
Clinton send immigration to the refugee, and I have to pass all the tests to welcome to America. It's not the way Biden open the border and everybody welcome to America because Biden is Mr. Samaritan. I pass all the tests to come to America.
So you can't say you're illegal. You got here legally through a legal program. Refugee programs are legal.
Well, if you can say that, yes. I will vote for Donald.
Ay, 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 por Dios. Yo voy a votar por Donald Trump. Guys, and I got you another one, a good one, a Cubans for Trump. A lot of things are happening since that I did my last video for Cubans for Trump. And it's a lot of things here that we are going to be seeing in this video. They had changed. The orange clown, he changed his position in Cuba, in the Cuban situation, 180 degrees. So this is like a totally different than what he was thinking before. And stay towards the end because this video is going to be really interesting. I don't know what YouTube is doing. They are supporting all the conservative channels and the liberal channels. They are pushing it down. So make sure that you help me with the algorithm and push a like, comment, subscribe, and hype this video if you can. I see you towards the end with my opinion and a lot of commentary on what is happening with the Cuban situation and how they are in.
Father came from Cuba, okay? From the communist.
Hey, trust about to free Cuba.
He was supposed to. No, he's not.
Will you give him credit? Will you give him credit?
No, he's not.
I've been going to a lot of Cuba Libre rallies.
I would love to know how is it now that he can dialogue with Cuba, and it's okay. But when Obama went to dialogue with Cuba, not negotiate, dialogue, it was a frenzy for all. But now that Trump decided to do it because he wants his golf courts and he wants his hotels, which the Castros never wanted him on the island, and that's why they took him away, and that's why he's going so far.
What do you say to all the Cubans that are cheering for Trump?
They're fucking idiots.
You had one of the biggest rallies in Miami.
They're against
Hialeah.
Yeah, Hialeah. They're idiots. That's why so many Cubans are being deported now because of them. And a lot of those Cubans are like, what the fuck did we do?
So you think the Cubans calling for freedom are idiots?
The Cubans that voted for Trump are idiots because they're deporting Cubans that had status in this country.
Isn't that the majority of Cubans that vote for Trump?
Nope. I'm not going to say the majority. Some of them because they're stupid and they didn't realize what they were doing. But a lot of them got deported, just like the Venezuelans. Absolutely.
So Florida International University, my alma mater, has done a study. They did a poll across several different states, districts, etc., where there are a lot of Latino voters. And the poll shows that in places like Arizona, California, Texas, Trump is losing support significantly from Latino voters. Everywhere in the U.S., except in the state of Florida. It was a national survey of Latino voters, right? And it shows that 2/3 of the swing voters in the Latino bloc of voters disapprove of Trump and feel that the country is on the wrong track. 60% said they'll vote Democrat in November's midterm elections. Now I'm gonna read this straight from the article. Don't get mad at me saying I'm generalizing, oh, you're a hater. No, I'm reading from this WLRN public media article. Still, 81% of Latinos who identify as Republican continue to support Trump. And not surprisingly, Florida Latinos, especially Cubans, were the poll's exception. The survey showed Trump's net approval as low as minus 55% among Latinos in large states like California, Texas, and Arizona. Florida was the least anti-Trump state at only minus 10%. Among Florida Cubans, the numbers jumped dramatically. 53% of Cubans support Trump, which would make them group with the highest support for Trump in the country, across all the electorate, across the entire country. More than 70% of Cubans said they support Trump's deportation campaign, and 55% of Florida Latinos back it as well. Cubans, however, are decidedly outliers. Trump registers his biggest disapproval with the Latino community's biggest groups, Mexicans and Puerto Ricans. This does not come as a shock to me whatsoever. Why? Because I am from Miami, Florida. I understand the way so many of the people here think, right? And nothing will move the needle for people here to think differently or to ever be like, you know what? What Trump did was wrong. Not his immigration policies that have affected their community disproportionately, right? Not his economic policies like tariffs, the rise in gas prices, the wars, nothing. The Epstein files, his blasphemy, nothing is going to move the needle. They will continue to support this man until the very end. I'm not gonna lie, the statistic that was the most alarming to me was the 70%. That's overwhelming. 70% of Cubans said they support Trump's deportation campaign? Are we living in like a different reality, an alternate dimension? Like, what is going on in people's brains? Again, don't shoot the messenger. This is simply another study that demonstrates what many of us already know.
Miren esto, trompista, miren esto.
How do you make the operation in Cuba look more like the Venezuela operation?
Well, the difference is Venezuela has oil, Cuba doesn't. Cuba has nice property and has nice shoreline.
How many months have I been here telling you, and you believing all these influencers from Miami who have been brainwashing you? How many months have I been here telling you against all odds that this guy is not interested in the democracy of any country? That this guy, if there were oil in Cuba and there was a dictator, he would get along with him just the same as long as the oil flowed to the United States. Unfortunately, as it has been said there is no oil in Cuba, there are just a couple of beaches, and maybe he will go for a couple of beaches. He enters into a deal with the crab. Raul Castro's grandson, maybe, I don't know. And the truth is they are up to something, involved in some business, because obviously the CIA guy went down there, something unexpected. Then the head of the Southern Command went to meet with the chief of the General Staff of Cuba. In short, so the crab, Raul's grandson, came out yesterday showing off, but he said there would be McDonald's, there would be everything here. But there is no oil, Trump supporters, there is no oil. This guy doesn't care about democracy. That's why Chavismo continues in Venezuela. But since you are like blind moles, when they see the sun, you prefer to believe this guy rather than the Venezuelans who are telling you that things in Venezuela are worse and the dictatorship remains the same. And that's why Corina is God knows where, and they don't let her enter Venezuela. And Trump every day, Trumpista, tells you how good Delcy is and that the oil is flowing. You see, and you keep treating him like he's the hero, the macho, the guy who wants democracy. He doesn't want democracy at all. He doesn't want it here. He's going to want it elsewhere. The only thing he cares about is the money, man, the money. And if the money comes from a tyrant, well, fine. If the money comes from a murderer, well, fine. What he cares about is the money. 0, 0, like 0, big 0, morality 0. This guy is a criminal. He shows you every day here. And at least he had the honesty, probably the only truth he has ever said in his life, to tell you that the reason is that there is no oil in Cuba. Trump supporter. You see, Trump supporter, you see, I've been telling you for months. And if something were to happen in Cuba with that disgusting and brutal dictatorship, surely, almost certainly, it would be in coordination with this guy for his economic benefit.
And so in Miami, it's interesting, right? Because in Miami, you have the heart of Trump's Latino coalition, which are Cubans and Venezuelans. And many of them truly, truly believe that they were untouchable, right? I cannot tell you the amount of Cuban voters who are the most loyal Trump voters out there, how now for the first time ever, they're now being impacted by immigration. Like I have text conversations and I'm on the phone with this one Cuban woman who voted for Trump, rallied for Trump, campaigned for him. Her husband who is also Cuban, was detained and it was then deported to Cuba, which is just like the hypocrisy there, right? Of like, you vote for this man who promised to be the liberator, no, of the like communist regime, and then sends your husband to Cuba. And now this Cuban man is now essentially in Mexico.
I'm gonna be the one to say this and I'll take the backlash, but some people in our Latino community están pero rete pendejos. And I'm gonna give you an example. There's this video of this Latino dude in North Carolina. His name is Willie, out here crying on camera because ICE pulled up on him after he voted for Trump. I swear to God, Latino Trump voters gotta have a special mental condition going on, thinking that we're gonna get honorary whiteness just because they voted for Trump on election day. Like, bro, ¿cómo te explico? Your accent is deeper than the Grand Canyon and you really thought Trump was gonna look at you and say, oh, no, not him. He's one of the good ones. Yeah, they didn't. Instead of that, DHS rolls out Operation Charlotte's Web on November 15th, 2025. And I know what you're thinking. Charlotte's Web, isn't that the Piggy movie? Sounds friendly, right? Wrong. It's an immigration crackdown. They said they were going after the worst of the worst, the criminal illegal aliens. Same shit they always say. And Willie is shocked Pikachu face. He's like,
he said he got to catch the delinquentes? Criminals. Yeah. And right now, he don't follow the criminals. He go to specific to Latino people. Why Latino people? Because in the last Saturday, example, behind to me, I see the white people, the black people, and some people, Indian people, and Chinese people, and me. The DHS come specific to me.
Yeah, no Sherlock. We've been telling you this. This man is acting like the government did a surprise twist ending. Like, bro, this is not a plot twist. It was literally in the trailer. And he says he regrets voting for Trump 100%. He's like...
And really, you told me that you voted for President Trump in 2024. Do you regret that decision? ¿Te arrepientes esa decisión?
Yes, 100%.
Why do you regret that decision?
That's because it's nothing that's true. It's not true.
And honestly, I feel bad for him as a human, pero como comunidad latina, muchos están bien rete pendejos. Neta, they really thought Trump was gonna deport those other Latinos coming in. Literally, you're closing the door on the people coming after you, thinking you're the white man's favorite minority.
The smile was wiped off his face. Just look at how this Cuban celebrated when Donald Trump won the elections.
Donald Trump is now the President of the United States of America. Long live free Cuba.
I'm going to vote for my Trump, for my dear Trump. I.
Smiles, joy, celebration, but just look at him right now at this moment.
My sister's husband, a man who only lacks the robe to be a pastor, the most noble worker, an altar boy of a person, truck driver, etc., etc. But they gave him I-20B and detained him at his court appointment, and he is in jail. My sister's husband is an immigration jail.
Well, I don't know why there's so much sadness if everyone knew this was coming if Donald Trump won. A brutal hunt against all Latinos regardless of nationality. But many of these Cuban commentators thought they were untouchable. There they were supporting Daddy Trump and now look at how they ended up. But well, let's see if now they learn to have a bit more empathy and stop the shamelessness.
The video of Cubans voting for Trump is not aging well. I don't know if you've seen that one where they all have the Make America Great Again and they're all going, hey, Donald Trump, hey, Presidente, Donald Trump, para mi corazón, Donald Trump, número uno, Presidente, Donald Trump, mi amor, Donald Trump, hey, Donald Trump, Presidente de Estados Unidos, es mi favorito, Presidente, para Donald Trump, hey, wepa, Dios mío, Maria. They danced their ass off. And now I think they've been rounding them up, sending some of them back. I'm like, damn, Donald's like, hey, Donald Trump, Presidente, muy bueno, sorry people, hasta luego. Buenos dias, adios amigos.
See you later. Muy malo. Presidente numero uno. Presidente Blanco. No me gusta Cubanos.
Man, yo, they are fucking crying now. They're like, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué? Donald Trump, you promised. We vote for you. But wait a minute. Take it easy, okay? Take it easy, President. Take it easy, por favor. Take it easy. You say you promised that we can stay here and we don't have to leave and go back to Cuba. But you promised that we vote for you.
I know what you voted for. I know that's what I did. It's called politics. It is what it is. Adios, amigos. Muy malo. Peligroso.
Damn, this is not the whole Cuban community, but man, y'all motherfuckers, boy, you want to be white so bad. Some of you want to be white so badly. You want to do anything you can do to stay away from the African American community. This is the time where you should use your black card. Yeah, you should be like, oh, wait a minute. Mr. Trump, I'm black. I forgot. I'm black. No, negro, sí. But yeah, I picky cotton. Yeah, I was a slave. Yes, hey, I am black. Listen, hey, what's up, man? Fuck that shit. I'm black. You should have used your black card because, you know, there are Cubans that look just like me, you know, and will swear up and go, and they are black. No, I mean, Americano black. Yeah, I'm black. I like the hip hop. I listen to JC. I listen to 50 Cent. I'm just saying, y'all make up your mind, man, because you getting your, like Paul Mooney said, you getting your nigga wake up call. All you motherfuckers are not white. You are not goddamn white. That's a shame. That's a goddamn shame. Adios, amigos, niggas.
Do you know how many times I heard when the presidential elections finally end that all the mass deportations of innocent people and abuses of power begin? I heard this little group of scum from the Miami MAGA dump say that they had no problem because they were already residents. And now I ask you, how is it going with the Supreme Court's decision? Roll the tape.
The Supreme Court of the United States just issued a 6-3 decision stating that a lawful permanent resident who has been arrested but not convicted travels outside of the United States, comes back in the United States. If the person working at the airport, the Customs and Border Protection officer, determines that the crime they were arrested for is a crime involving moral turpitude, then the officer cannot admit this person into the United States. Pero en su lugar los pondrán en libertad condicional y los someterán a procedimientos de deportación. So this puts a strain on lawful permanent residents coming back to the United States if they have an arrest.
I warned you many times that they would come after people with permanent residency, and you told me I was exaggerating. How's it going? How's it going with your daddy Trump? And yes, of course, the Cuban Trump supporters with residency are mostly criminals.
Didn't you want Trump? Well, take Trump. Donald Trump is threatening Cuba. Make a deal or else.
A lot of Latinos are Christian Catholic and hardcore. So they're, homophobic, they're anti-abortion. And so that lines up perfectly with the Republican agenda. Even though they say they're family values, they're very pro Epstein and protecting the predators. So I don't understand all that. And their leader, the president, divorces left and right, has affairs with prostitutes. I don't understand their whole...
No, it makes no sense.
That makes no sense.
All these Latinos that supported Trump, a lot of them are getting deported.
We told you. We saw it coming. I don't know how you didn't see it coming. But, Latinos for Trump is kind of hard. I don't know. It's like roaches for raid, I mean, it's a rough thing.
It goes back to the colonialism, mind frame. They're like, oh, let me just be with this.
Yeah.
It makes me a part of this country,
Proximity to whiteness. Yeah. Exactly.
Trump just threatened Puerto Rico with Cuba, basically saying that Cuba is better. Listen closely to what he says.
I think Cuba, in its own way, for tourism and everything else, it's a beautiful island, great weather. They're not in a hurricane zone, which is nice for a change,
They won't be asking us for money for hurricanes every week. Not in a hurricane zone, and they won't be asking us for hurricane money every week. ¿De quién carajo tú crees que le está hablando? Where is Jennifer Gonzalez now in her summit of Puerto Rico equality and statehood? Bitch, are you listening to this guy que tú le mamas el culo por relajar, que tú siempre le estás lambiendo el ojo? What the fuck do you have to say now? Obviously, this is still a dick measuring contest between him and Obama, which he is the only one measuring porque Obama es negro, jamás y nunca lo va. Obama es vara larga, cabrón. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, in 2016, Obama becomes the first sitting president to visit Cuba in 88 years. He went over there and shit started moving. By 2014, sanctions were lifted, embassies were open, Cuban cigars started flowing back to the USA. Entiéndase que lo que está haciendo Trump is because he ruined all of those relationships when he became president. It's all his fucking doing. Esto de que los cubanos están diciendo, oh, Trump is the reason why Cuban baseball players from Cuba can no longer sign in the MLB. He did that shit. Why Cuban cigars are no longer flowing to fucking United States. He did that shit. I had a Cuban cigar in the Bahamas, by the way. It tasted good, pero me dio ganas de vomitar. I've never had this type of rivalry. This type of rivalry where the other guy isn't truly competing anymore. Where he can't literally compete. There is no third term for Obama. There should be no third term for Trump, pero vamos a ver qué carajo pasa. Y este cabrón todavía midiendo la vara, puñet. In 1998, Trump was breaking the law, tratando de abrir un casino allá en Cuba. He was always interested in Cuba. In 2008, he tried to trademark his name in Cuba. In 2016, while he's campaigning to be the president, he's saying that it would be a great idea de tener un casino in Cuba. He's always wanted Cuba over Puerto Rico. I would love it for Cuba to become state 51 and Puerto Rico to never get it, just to see la cara de los PNP chorro de pendejo. This was my never forget it moment. ¿Cómo ustedes han olvidado esto?
You see this picture? That's Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett with 2 children she adopted from Haiti. Remember this picture. Today, the Supreme Court voted 6-3 to let Donald Trump strip temporary protected status from 350,000 Haitian immigrants and 6,000 Syrians. TPS is a program that allows people to remain in the United States legally when their home country is too dangerous to return to. To stress, these are not criminals. These are not invaders. These are people who have been living here, working here, paying taxes here, and raising families here for more than a decade. And today, the Supreme Court said, send them back. The attorneys challenging this decision said it plainly. People will die. Not might, will die. And shocker, but this is racial. Justice Kagan noted it in her dissent that the decision targeting Haitians was racially motivated. And then we return to Amy Coney Barrett, who adopted 2 children from Haiti, Vivian and John Peter. This woman adopted children from a country she just decided no longer deserves protection. And this doesn't stop with Haiti and Syria. More than 1.3 million people from 17 countries currently rely on TPS. Today's ruling gives the Trump administration a green light to come after every one of them. People will lose their lives because racist white nationalists are in positions of power. This is America.
Didn't vote for this, but I definitely voted Republican.
A desperate plea to President Trump from a South Florida man fearing his life partner could be deported to Cuba at any moment.
Please get her home. Please, she does not deserve this. She's the sweetest person and she prayed for you.
His life partner of nearly 20 years, Yamile Alcantu, ICE detained her back in June.
8 months that she's been taken. I call it kidnapped because it basically is.
He says it happened during what they thought was just another immigration check-in.
Cuban's not going to get deported, so don't worry about it.
Both were staunch supporters of President Trump.
When you said I didn't vote for this, what did you think you had voted for?
I really thought this was just going to be something organized, but it's obviously not. They just blanket everybody.
There are going to be people who say, you voted for this.
Yeah, I've heard that from people. I'm sorry. I didn't know that this was going to happen. This is about human beings. It's not about left or right. It's about right and wrong.
I feel like we can all agree that Latinos for Trump are sellouts, traitors, coconuts. They really think that MAGA will accept them. But what I find even more interesting is that not once, not ever, have I heard Donald Trump even reference them, talk about them, or even acknowledge their existence. Not once. It's almost like he doesn't care. When will Latinos for Trump understand that MAGA does not care about them? They will never be seen as equal. Not only that, but cases like this one keep popping up of Trump supporters finding out the hard way that they will never be accepted. They're finding out that they're not white. They don't care if you're a citizen. If you're brown, you're going to get detained. Latinos for Trump cannot be trusted. They would sell out their own family for proximity to whiteness and proximity to MAGA. Meanwhile, I have never heard Donald Trump once reference them or even acknowledge them. So if you have a Latino for Trump family member, whether it's your parents, your sisters, aunts, uncles, stay away from them. They cannot be trusted. But there you have it, guys. Latinos for Trump love Trump, but Donald Trump doesn't even acknowledge their existence. But anyways, let me know what you guys think.
Why is the United States so hell-bent on destroying Cuba? Professor Poutine here. Time for Mysteries Histories. As many of you are aware, in 2026, the Trump administration has placed a near-total embargo on the island of Cuba, which is leading to 30-hour blackouts. It's leading to a healthcare system on the verge of collapse, with essential surgeries being postponed. Tourism industry and the agricultural industry are collapsing. Healthcare shortages and food shortages are on the rise. The island is in real distress. Well, the embargo goes all the way back to 1960. Castro seizes control of the island in 1959, toppling the CIA-backed dictator Batista, and that kind of angers the United States. But Castro and the Soviet Union weren't really best friends at that point in time. The Soviet Union actually thinks he might be a U.S. plant. But Eisenhower, upset because they toppled his guy, Batista, puts a small embargo on Cuba, not allowing them to sell their sugar or to import essential things like oil. Well, Castro at that point does two things that really make the United States angry. One, he nationalizes a whole bunch of U.S. industries, including oil refineries in Cuba. And then he makes a deal with the Soviet Union to sell them his sugar and import oil from them. That leads the Eisenhower administration to put a full embargo on Cuba, which has been in existence since 1960, with a small reprieve under Obama, who allowed Americans to go to Cuba, which spiked the tourism industry, and things actually got really well in Cuba for a few years. And then Trump 1.0 canceled that, and they've gone back. Now, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, who is of Cuban descent, has said that this embargo is essential to force the Cuban people to make change. And what he said was, quote, Cuba needs to change dramatically because that is the only way to improve the quality of life for its people, end quote. Is it, Marco, though? Because if we look back at Cuba over the last 30 years prior to this embargo, Cuba had a lower infant mortality rate than the United States. It had a 99% vaccination rate amongst its youth. It had a higher literacy rate. It had a free universal healthcare system with the highest doctor-patient ratio in the world. It spent 15 times less on healthcare than the United States did to get the exact same adult mortality rate at 79 years of age. Free universal healthcare, education, guaranteed housing, guaranteed welfare. Now, you might sit there and say, but Cuba is repressive. It incarcerates a lot of their people. That's absolutely true. Cuba has the second highest incarceration rate in the world after El Salvador and before Rwanda, Turkmenistan, and the United States. So maybe what Cuba needs is for the United States to leave Cuba alone and let the Cuban people decide for themselves what sort of future they want, what sort of economy they want, what sort of government they want, rather than giving Trump another trophy to put on his shelf in the White House. Consider yourself updated.
So this is Stephen A. Smith.
But I got to tell you something. As much as people may have been abhorred by Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, talking about how black folks, he's hearing that black folks find him relatable because what he's going through is similar to what black Americans have gone through. He wasn't lying. He was telling the truth. When you see the law enforcement, the court system, and everything else being exercised against him, it is something that black folks throughout this nation can relate to.
This is also Stephen A. Smith.
Carmelo Anthony murdered Austin Metcalf. There is no other way to slice it. He said he put his hands on me, as in Austin Metcalf. He put his hands on me, so I stabbed him. That's not justification for killing someone.
So Trump, the 34-time convicted felon, who was once the president of the United States of America, and who at that time, the time when he went on this diatribe, Stephen A. went on his diatribe, was running for president again. A felon can't even vote, but he could still run as a 34-count felon. He was tried by a jury literally of his peers. In addition to that, he was found guilty of sexual battery. He appears in the Epstein list 38,500 times, which is more than Harry Potter appears in books that are named after him. He had a school that closed down because of fraud. He had his charity can't do business in New York because of fraud. He actually was able to pick some of the judges that would handle some of the other cases he was involved in. He was the most powerful man in the world. And you feel like we can relate to him because the judicial system treated him unfairly and we could relate to that. When historically has anybody who was a billionaire, who was a former president, who, was a business magnate, ever been treated fairly in America? But you feel like black people can relate to him. But Carmelo Anthony, the 17-year-old kid who was found guilty by an all-white jury in the South, we can't relate to him. We can relate to the adjudicated rapist, the people associated with pedophile, the fraud, the felon. We can relate to him. The judicial system is unfair to him. But the 17-year-old kid who was tried by a Southern jury, an all-white Southern jury, we can't relate to him. That is why black people don't take you very seriously. That's why. That very reason. If your head were any further of white people's ass, you would have to be an enema.
A lot of Cubans in Miami and South Florida voted for Trump, understanding that his intention was to deport people. They never thought those deportations would apply to Cubans. They thought it would apply to other people because Cubans have always had an advantage in the U.S. There's something, passed by, under Lyndon Johnson's administration, the Cuban Adjustment Act, which basically gave Cubans a welcome no other immigrants had. It gave them a fast track to residency and then to citizenship. That is still the law of the land. So Cubans assumed that whatever happened generally with deportation would not apply to them because of the Cuban Adjustment Act. But in practice, the Cuban Adjustment Act is not being observed. So Cubans are being detained. They show up for regular immigration check-ins and they're being detained. They show up for asylum hearings and judges dismiss their cases, which means that they're eligible for deportation. I think it will change. It may change Cuban American attitudes towards Trump. It made him definitely less popular. People I talk to in Miami see it. You hear it. I know it from relatives who are Republicans who voted for him, who are very unhappy with the immigration policies. So I do think it has a potential to make a real impact in voting practices.
Latino white supremacists exist, and they come in all colors. Unfortunately, these people are your neighbors, members of your church, co-workers, friends, and even family members. Abraham Gangwatch was a Jewish Nazi collaborator who led a group called Group 13 in the Warsaw Ghetto of Poland during the Holocaust. Their goals included hunting other Jews for the Nazis and infiltrating underground Jewish safety networks in exchange for money, protection from the Gestapo, and status within the German military. In other words, they were cowards that felt that by assimilating, they would get fairer treatment than their Jewish brothers and sisters. In that same vein, Latinos who still support Trump are active enablers of white supremacy as well, attempting to assimilate in pursuit of being seen as an equal by their oppressors. Trump's win over Kamala Harris was not by a landslide. It was won by a mere 1% or so. And although Latinos still mostly voted against Trump, that split was almost half. There's a really good book by Paola Ramos called Defectors that digs deep into research through interviews, studies, and finding the root of a lot of misinformation that was fed to Latino voters. But among issues that divide Latinos, like colorism, internal racism, there's also tribalism. The idea that associating yourself with a group by voting a certain way or living in a certain area or assimilating somehow makes you feel separated from undesirable groups of lesser economic status or class. It's the us versus them mentality that MAGA has propelled its success from, and Latinos for Trump are huge culprits of it. The truth is that white supremacy doesn't win without their help. When you log on to the DHS site, you immediately see a group of 4 ICE agents as advertisement for their recruitment. At least 2 of those images are of non-white officers. This is significant because just like the Nazis needed Abraham Gangwatch and Group 13 to surveil, infiltrate, and criminalize their own, so does ICE. What's crazy is that by 1943, most of the members of Group 13 were either unalived or deported to camps by the Nazis anyway. So all of that assimilating they were trying trying to do didn't work in their favor after all. And Latinos for Trump, no matter how hard you try to scrub your skin or use your light features to pass as something that you're not, the pitfalls of your compliance with white supremacy will catch up to you and your loved ones very soon. You just better hope that the rest of us collectively have enough sense to put an end to the chaos before it does. Rest in peace to Renee Nicole Good and all of the other lives lost at the hands of ICE. But I want to know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at FromTheRecord_.
As Donald Trump continues to starve 11 million Cubans, China continues to rise to the occasion. They've donated $80 million worth of aid, 60,000 pounds of rice, and now they're donating solar panels. Let's fucking go, bro. And I just found out that they're now donating more money, more aid, to Iran and its neighbors. Specifically Iraq, Jordan, and Lebanon. Let us not forget about our Lebanese brothers and sisters. 700,000 of which that have been recently displaced by Israel. In the last 10 days, 700,000 have been displaced, bro. That's insane. Fuck Israel, bro. Fuck the United States of America, and long live Palestine. Free all those oppressed, baby. Let's fucking go.
I like you. I think you're a very cool guy. How you feel that all the million people that Biden let enter to this country and you have to pay for the food stamp, those people get free food stamp, free medical, free rent, and I was one of those.
What do you mean by that?
How you feel about that?
First and foremost, I would like to politely ask you to stop yelling in my ear. I don't know why you're yelling. I'm not yelling, okay? To answer your question, I feel about that nothing, because my tax-paying dollars never went to undocumented migrants getting SNAP or free housing of the sorts that you're referencing. Do you know what the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996 is?
No, I don't know about that.
No problem, I'll tell you. So that is the act that was passed that barred undocumented migrants, unless you were legally authorized to be here, from getting federal benefits, such as SNAP.
No, brother, don't misunderstand me. Please, let me finish. Don't interrupt me. Biden open the border and let enter to this country a lot of people, good people, bad people, and today you don't know who is who. Are you okay that everybody come to this country and do whatever they want? 99.9%. I know more illegal people than you know. Huh? Trust me.
I mean,
99.9%.
you probably do.
I am U.S. citizen, but at one point I was illegal.
How did you become a citizen?
Okay, listen, I'm from Cuba. Okay. I jump in the ocean and the tire from the tractor. I was there for 5 days. Helicopter see me after 5 days by myself, picking me up and send me to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, where Bush had the Taliban when they destroyed the tower in New York in 2001. Okay. But I was there in 1994, 1995 for 2 years. Now, to come to America, Clinton sent immigration to the refugee, and I had to pass all the tests to welcome to America. It's not the way Biden opened the border and everybody welcome to America because Biden is
you're a refugee.
Mr. Samaritan. I passed all the tests to come to America.
So you can't say you're illegal. You got here legally through a legal program. Refugee programs are legal.
Well, if you can say that, yes. I will vote.
Well, look, and please look again at another stupid fucking Cuban. Tattooed frumpy diarrhea pants on his arm because he loves that pedophile and got deported. How many more Cubans will we see deported because they want to be Caucasian, they want to vote for white supremacy, but get kicked in their pee-pee holes so fucking hard that they can't even piss straight? Look at this dumb bastard right here. Sellout. The Latinos have been telling us that the Cubans, the Dominicans, those are the biggest sellouts. And they think they're white so fucking bad. Well, guess what? Take your pick-me ass back to Cuba with your lack of fucking oil, food, and all the shit that's fucked up over there. You made it to America and voted for the worst thing you could ever vote for because Kamala wouldn't have kicked you out, you dumb bastard. You fucked it up for your kids, for your wife, for your family. Black people should have known that y'all ain't shit because y'all voted against y'all own brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and little kids. You are Latino men. You Cuban men. Y'all are bitch-ass men. Y'all are trash. And I'm so glad you got kicked in your dick hole and now you're going back to fucking Cuba. Eat shit, bootlicker. Stop voting for white supremacy. Ha ha. Good for you.
Y'all look at this. Cuba, I want you to be free, with a Trump sticker on the back. This is South Florida.
What kind of deal are you looking for from Cuba? We'll find out pretty soon.
Wait, what? Is he talking about a deal like this one?
The United States of America is changing its relationship with the people of Cuba.
in the most significant changes in our policy in more than 50 years. We will end an outdated approach that for decades has failed to advance our interests.
In December 2014, Barack Obama made a deal with Cuba. He started normalizing relations and loosening sanctions. U.S. companies and visitors flooded Havana.
Havana was like overcrowded, celebrities, musicians, politicians, everybody. It was insane. Chanel runway, Fast and the Furious shooting, Rolling Stone concert. The mood was anything is possible.
Even Donald Trump thought the opening with Cuba was a good idea.
I don't agree with President Obama. I do agree that something should take place. After 50 years, it's enough time, folks.
That was not shocker. Trump had been trying to do business in Cuba for years. In 2008, Trump registered his brand at La Oficina Cubana de Propiedad Industrial. It's where foreign companies apply to do business in Cuba. Then, in 2015, Trump's executive came to Cuba to smoke cigars, play golf, and scope out investment opportunities. That was at the time when Trump and Marco Rubio were not exactly friends.
Guys, we have a con artist as the front runner in the Republican Party.
Thank God he has really large ears, the biggest ears I've ever seen.
And you know what they say about men with small hands?
Rubio, total lightweight.
If he hadn't inherited $200 million, you know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches and...
Then Trump made a deal, not with Cuba, with Rubio.
I am canceling the last administration's completely one-sided deal with Cuba.
Rubio gave Trump his support in Florida and the Senate. Trump gave Rubio Cuba policy.
La política de Estados Unidos de Trump hacia Cuba, que fue diseñada directamente por yo y que todavía sigue en vigor.
Trump says Cuba's economy is a disaster. And it is.
Cuba's in bad shape. They're doing very poorly. They're really third world all the way.
But it's a disaster that he helped to create.
The Trump administration is imposing new restrictions on U.S. travel to Cuba.
The U.S. has banned flights.
The U.S. government will also ban trips by cruise ships.
You have to go after their finances, limiting the amount of money, fresh U.S. sanctions.
Well, it's part of a trend.
Trump's not just gaslighting Cuba. He's doing it to Venezuela too.
We are the largest American oilfield services company, long time in Venezuela, and just couldn't express gratitude more so for the opportunity to return to Venezuela.
So when did you leave?
Huh?
When did you leave Venezuela?
As a company, we left under the sanctions in 2019. So we had intended to stay, and then when the sanctions went into place, we were required to leave.
So let's get this straight. Trump destroys Venezuela's economy, then blames them for it, and tells them they have to open the doors to the US companies that he himself kicked out in the first place? I mean, the irony. Now Trump says he wants a deal with Cuba too. In Venezuela, Trump seemed happy to leave the government in place without Maduro. But in Cuba, he might be looking for more than that.
One of the things I want taken care of, and one of the groups I want taken care of, are the people that came from Cuba that were forced out or left under duress, and they're great citizens of the United States right now.
Trump is not talking to Cubans who live in Cuba. That's clear. And he's not talking about Marco Rubio. Rubio has never stepped foot in Cuba, and his parents left Cuba years before the revolution. They fled the US-backed Batista dictatorship, not communism. Trump's talking about the Cuban Americans behind Marco Rubio, the powerful families in Florida who think Cuba still belongs to them.
Wealthy Cubans in this country donate heavily to senators and congressmen who will maintain the embargo. The more the embargo failed, the more resentful and the more hateful Cubans got in this country that wanted to see that regime fail and fall apart. So that fueled the money that eventually, would put a lot of these guys in power and maintain them there.
The US has never had a problem playing judge and executor in countries in Latin America. Trump may be more open about it, but he's not the exception. He's the rule. But Cuba has refused to bow to U.S. aggression. It's resisted a U.S.-funded invasion, acts of sabotage, and the longest-running sanctions in modern history. Rubio and Trump may want to recolonize Cuba, but history suggests that such ambitions have never been easily imposed on the island. Wonderful story. Follow Belly of the Beast for the reporting you won't find anywhere else.
Tighter embargo against Cuban. By now the orange. His part is hilarious. Because the orange, he just want to do everything that Obama did, but somehow 10 times worse. He just went. This is hilarious. He just want to do exactly what Obama did with Cuba, because that was the solution, okay? The solution was exactly what Obama did. And Cubans in Miami, they don't even know what to think about it. They're like, oh no, now the Papa Trump is gonna do it. It's gonna be perfect. So he's gonna try to do the same thing that Obama did. Are we following the pattern? Are we following the pattern that these men want to imitate everything that Obama does? He wants to do everything that Obama does and somehow get better credit for what he did, and that is not happening. So on the top of that, he always wanted to have a casino in Cuba for a really long time. Since he started to run as a president, he wanted to end the embargo and put a casino in the island. That's what he wanted. He wanted a golf course. And I think he had before like a golf course or a building. Correct me in the comments below. I think he have a casino, a hotel. He did have something in the island. And the government of Cuba, they didn't want Trump, their name of Trump, be in the island. So they got him out, because in the communist government, the government controls the private sector. It's not the other way around how it happened in America. And the private sector controls government because they have to run campaigns every year. And somehow the private sector is the one that finances the campaigns. Because of that, they have more control. The private sectors have more control in the government decisions. In governments, communism and other kinds of type of government is completely the opposite. The government controls the private sector. So they didn't want him on the island. So he keep him out. They keep him out, and now, and now he's just like suffering. He wants to have the same deal that they did for Obama. That it was the opening, the lifting of the embargo, opening the island for business, for tourism, for concerts, for food, for everything. They want to open the business, the island for commercial, and I think that's what the private sector is also pushing to do. I think Obama, they may have that idea in his mind, but I think also the private sector of the United States also push Obama to do that with the island of Cuba, because it had been for a long time an interest of the corporate America to go to the island and put resorts, put hotels, do all these things that they do in Miami. And you know how Miami, have been really developed. You know how Miami have been really developed. In the last, I wanted to say 24 years, because the last time that I went to Miami, 24, 26, in like 24 years. I went 24 years ago, and then I went multiple times, But when I was living there 24 years ago, Miami, it wasn't like what it is right now. Okay, it was a city, but it wasn't like it is right now. So because Miami is running out of land, they want to just develop the same thing in Cuba. And it's a lot of Cuba corporate, they can put money to it. So they want to open the island for people can visit, for they can have the tourism, and I have the Orange Clown has said multiple times that the good thing about Cuba is they are not in the path of a hurricane. So hurricanes don't gonna touch the island. That is really it doesn't happen when in the Caribbean islands. Most of the time, the Caribbean island, they always gonna be on the path of the hurricane one way or another one. Like it happened with Puerto Rico, like it happens with Bermuda, like it happened with Jamaica. They are all one way or another one in the path of the hurricane. I don't know what position Cuban is, that they are not in the path of the hurricane. So the Orange Clown have been they keep an eye in the island for a really, really long time. And he just been waiting for the time for the island can open for business, for he can put his business in there, for he can put his hotel, for he can put his things. But what is what makes it the biggest fuffle of the moment is just the Cubans in Miami. They thought that the Orange Clown is gonna deliver for them a Cuba Libre. They are not gonna have a Cuba Libre. They're gonna have a Cuba with the Castro regime, and exactly what Obama did, because that's the only solution for the island. It happens that the island, even when they do all kinds of sanctions to the island, the government will not come down. The grip that the government of Cuba have in the island of Cuba is something that they will not be able to dissolve that easily. People can go and protest. People can go and say that they don't want the regime anymore. But you have to see also that the way the regime of Cuba have brainwashed the people for so many years. We're talking about that they've been there for almost 75 years. So they are so used to the way, they don't know another way. It's like different with Venezuela, because Venezuela, the regime of Chavez, it was there for 25 years. So the older people, the people that is in their 40s, in their 35s, in their 60s, they know how democracy works. They know there is something better exists. They know that they can do better. And also, in the case of Venezuela, we have a really aging population. Okay, we almost have the 40s to 60 is the biggest block of the population. Okay, it's like almost apart with the youth population, the 0 to 20. Okay, because we have an aging population. We don't have that many births, so the population is aging. Guys, but what do you guys think? How the Cubans, how the Miami Cubans, and on the top of that, the deportations. Okay, these people, they had put tattoos everywhere in their body about the Orange Clown, and now the Orange Clown is deporting them. I just keep telling you, the biggest fuffle of the moment, Cubans and farmers. It's just hilarious. And I don't know how mass deportation signs didn't give them a clue that what is about to happen to them. But guys, please leave me your opinion below. And guys, I would love, guys, if you can guys send me money for coffee. All the money that you guys are sending me for coffee right now, I'm just sending it to Venezuela for my family. I have a cousin that she lost her house completely. Her house is flat in the ground, okay? I have a lot of family, they're going for difficult situations. Also the food the food very soon, because people is buying a lot of food because they want to make sure they have enough food because of the situation of the country. The food it had become hard to find. So I want my mom and my family, my aunts, my cousins, anyone that I can help to be prepared for what is coming to the country. And they are experiencing also the aftershocks of the hurricanes. And it's really scary. My sister told me that yesterday they just have a 4.6 earthquake again. So they just feeling it every moment. And they say that it's supposed to last like 100 days that they're gonna keep feeling the aftershocks. And and the aftershocks they are earthquakes in themselves, because a 4.8 is a big earthquake as it is. So I would love that you guys can help me. I'm just so grateful, guys, for your donations, for the people that donated. Livia, Phillips, the other people that donated, I'm just so grateful to you, and I send that money straight back to Venezuela. So thank you so much for your big heart for helping people in need. Thank you so much, you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.